Hello, 5th and 6th grade. This is your history video for Thursday, April 29th, second to the last day of April, and we're looking forward to the coming back by next Wednesday, hopefully, but also one more month left of school. Hard to believe, and I know that I didn't expect I was going to get COVID, but I did, and it's not fun, not horrible necessarily. My biggest thing is not being able to go outside and having to quarantine inside and not being able to get exercise or walk around or anything like that. We'll see what happens as far as once I get back. So far, I'm feeling pretty good, not too terrible. Mrs. Jones is getting hurt worse with it than I am, but we're doing okay right now. And thank you for praying for us, and thank you for all of the concern that you have shown. It's really sort of like a bad cold or a not, about a medium flu, I guess you could say. We don't feel terribly horrible, but we don't feel great either. So, but today we're doing, as far as the work that you have to do today, is pages 284 to 286. What we're reading, but only one work takes page 207. So we'll go ahead and get to that reading right now, and go ahead and keep get that going. All right, so the wrong place here. All right, so starting on 284, we're talking about the Han Dynasty or Han period. The Japanese government established a permanent capital at Nara in 710. Nara had broad streets, governmental offices, and large public squares. Later, the capital was moved to Hankyo. Today, Hankyo is the city of Kyoto. After the capital was moved to Hankyo, the Han period followed. It was named after the capital city and was a time of peace and security. Japan began to develop a culture independent of the Chinese during this time. Life at the court. The nobles who followed the emperor to Hankyo lived near him to win his favor. This group of nobles, known as the imperial court, served or advised the emperor. Life at the imperial court demanded strict rules of behavior. Court etiquette included proper actions and responses for all activities, whether accepting a piece of food or meeting the emperor. A person at the court was also supposed to have composure and not demonstrate emotions. Those who did not follow these rules were not welcome at court. The nobles of the court loved beauty and elegance, and many supported the arts. The court became the center of culture and learning. The Han period was the golden age of the arts in ancient Japan. The love of beauty by the nobles included their own appearance. The nobles loved elaborate outfits. For example, the women wore long gowns of 12 layers of colored silk. As the wind blew, the various colors showed in shifting patterns. Both men and women wore makeup. They blackened their teeth because white teeth were considered ugly. Nobles often carried decorative fans. The fans were painted with flowers, trees, and birds. Some fans had flowers and long silk cords attached to them. Language. During the Han period, the Japanese nobles were restrained in how they spoke and wrote, being careful not to offend anyone. Chinese was the official language used by the imperial court. Japanese scholars spent many years learning Chinese. Although the Japanese had a spoken language, they did not have a written language of their own. Japanese began to use Chinese characters to represent the pronunciation and meaning of the Japanese oral language. The Japanese began to use only phonetic syllables in their writing system. Two types of characters were developed by making some Chinese characters simpler and by abbreviating others. These scripts made it possible to write Japan's national language. Literature. Writing was popular among the nobles, especially among the women. Since the women were not trained in Chinese writing as the men were, women wrote in the common language, Japanese language. They spent their leisure time writing about their experiences in the imperial court. Most of the literature that has survived the Han period was written by women. One of the greatest writers in early Japan was Lady Murasaki Shikibu. As a lady of the court, she wrote what has been called the world's first true novel. Her 6-volume, The Tale of the Genji, tells the story of Prince Genji, his life at court, and his countless loves. A modern edition of the novel fills over 4,000 pages. Poetry was an important part of Japan's culture. To be accepted in Han society, a person had to write poetry. One type of Japanese poem that is still popular today is the haiku. Haiku is a verse form with 17 syllables and a kigo. A kigo is a word that hints at the season at which the poem takes place. The words in a haiku are chosen according to meaning and syllables. The poet tries to develop a mood and a picture with the words. Last page here. All right, arts and architecture. Even though Chinese art influenced Japanese art and architecture, the Japanese still developed their own artistic pattern. One characteristic of Japanese art was its use of brilliant colors. Bright colors made paintings full of life and activity. In architecture, colors were used to decorate houses and temples. A second characteristic of Japanese art was to use of everyday objects. Artists made and painted objects such as fans, combs, boxes, baskets, and carved furniture. These objects were beautiful as well as useful. The Japanese also liked to arrange flowers. Ikebana was the art form that involved flower arranging. Colors and types of flowers were chosen carefully to match the occasion and the season. For example, chrysanthemums were used in the month of May, and a chrysanthemum festival was held every year. One emperor visited the imperial flower garden during a May festival to enjoy its beauty. He adopted the chrysanthemum for his official seal and crest. The seal and crest are still official today. The nobles of Heian-kyo worked to make their city beautiful. They admired Chinese architecture and modeled Heian-kyo after Chang'an, a Chinese city. They copied Chinese building styles, especially those of temples. For other buildings, the nobles liked simple, airy designs. To add beauty to these buildings, the nobles surrounded them with elegant gardens and ponds. At the bottom there, you have an activity that you could do if you want to on your own, but you can see how a haiku works. Again, there's 17 syllables. Leaves sprinkle the grass, confetti tangled in hair, fall hosts a party. Okay, so 17 syllables there. And of course, the season it hints at is fall. If you do one, I'll give it to you. I'll give you extra credit if you can do a good one. Again, it's 3 lines. Generally, it tells you right there how it works. First line, 7 syllables. Second line, 5 syllables in first line, 7 in the second, and 5 in the last, so that it equals 17 altogether. And remember, it needs to hint at a season. Right? It could even say it completely. It doesn't have to hint at it, but it should be something about a season, or you should be able to pick up a season about it. All right. So then also you would need to illustrate that haiku. If you illustrate it, you'll get a little bit more extra credit for that. All right. Well, that's it. Hope to see you guys soon. Looking forward to getting over this COVID. Thanks a lot.